Most men won't openly tell you how deeply they feel. Not because the emotion isn't there, but because they've learned that vulnerability can be risky. So instead of saying, "I like you," they show it in quiet, subtle ways. Once you understand these signs, you'll start seeing emotions that were always there but never spoken aloud. Men communicate emotion in ways that are often misunderstood. For many men, expressing affection isn't about romantic words or poetic gestures. It's about what they do, not what they say. From an early age, most men are taught to be strong, composed, and logical. Vulnerability, though human, is often seen as a weakness. This conditioning creates a barrier between what they feel and what they show. So when a man begins to develop strong feelings, he doesn't always say it outright. He demonstrates it through his actions, attention, and presence. Understanding this difference is the key to seeing love in its quiet form. When a man cares, he starts noticing things he never paid attention to before. He remembers details, like your favorite food, how you take your coffee, the stories you've shared, or even the tone of your voice when you're not okay. These details may seem small, but they're his way of connecting emotionally. He might not use words like "I care about you," but he'll remember to ask if you've eaten or remind you to bring an umbrella when it looks like rain. These gestures seem practical, but beneath them lies affection. His mind begins to catalog moments and facts about you because subconsciously you've become important to him. He also communicates through consistency. If a man truly feels something, he'll make an effort to stay present in your life. That might mean checking in, making time for you even when he's busy, or simply keeping promises he makes. Consistency is his language of loyalty. While some people express love through flattery or grand gestures, a man who hides his emotions often lets reliability speak for him. It's not flashy, but it's real. His presence is his statement. Another subtle sign is protection. When a man has feelings, his instinct to protect you grows stronger. He may not announce it, but he'll ensure you're safe, comfortable, and respected. He'll step in when someone speaks to you disrespectfully, or he'll check to make sure you got home safely. These actions don't come from a place of control, they come from care. To him, ensuring your well-being is a natural extension of affection. Even silence can be communication. A man who struggles to verbalize his feelings might listen more than he talks. He'll give you his full attention, making sure you feel heard and understood. His quietness isn't disinterest, it's emotional restraint. He processes his feelings internally before expressing them externally. In his mind, saying too much too soon might risk rejection or embarrassment, so he lets his actions do the talking. Understanding how men express emotion through action instead of words changes how you interpret their behavior. It teaches you to read between the lines, to see meaning in the details and effort. Real connection doesn't always sound like "I love you." Sometimes it looks like, "Did you get home safely?" Or "I brought you coffee because I know you're tired." For many men, love isn't declared, it's demonstrated quietly and consistently. Emotional awareness is the foundation of any meaningful connection, yet it's something many people overlook in relationships. When it comes to understanding men, emotional awareness means recognizing how they express affection, vulnerability, and care beyond their words. Most men are not raised to identify or communicate their emotions openly. They're often taught to be strong, logical, and self-reliant, which can make emotional expression feel uncomfortable or even unsafe. Because of this, a man may not tell you how deeply he feels, but he will show it in subtle ways that only someone emotionally aware will notice. Being emotionally aware requires presence. It's about observing his tone, body language, and consistency rather than waiting for direct verbal confirmation. For example, a man may seem reserved or calm on the surface, but when you pay attention, you might notice how his energy changes when he's around you. His posture might shift, his eyes linger a little longer, or he listens more closely to your words. These physical and behavioral cues are windows into his emotional world. They reveal attraction, interest, or affection without him ever saying it aloud. Emotional awareness allows you to perceive these signals as genuine emotional communication, not random behavior. Another layer of emotional awareness is understanding emotional pacing. Every man opens up emotionally at his own speed. Some may express feelings quickly, while others take time to build trust before revealing anything personal. When you're emotionally aware, you don't force him to share before he's ready. Instead, you create space for him to feel safe. You listen without judgment, respond with kindness, and respect his pace. This approach encourages him to become more comfortable with his emotions. It shows him that his feelings won't be used against him, which is crucial for building emotional intimacy. Emotional awareness also helps you differentiate between mixed signals and genuine hesitation. When a man cares but hesitates to act, it's often not because he's playing games. It's because he's afraid of rejection or unsure how his feelings will be received. Many men fear that being too open will make them look weak or needy. When you're emotionally aware, you don't misinterpret his caution as disinterest. Instead, you understand that vulnerability takes courage and time, especially for someone who's used to hiding emotion behind logic or humor. Being emotionally aware doesn't just help you understand him, it also strengthens your own emotional intelligence. It teaches you to observe without overanalyzing, to empathize without losing yourself, and to communicate without demanding constant validation. You begin to see love not as a series of words, but as a pattern of behavior, energy, and intention. When you operate with emotional awareness, you naturally build a deeper connection because you're speaking his emotional language. You recognize that love isn't always expressed through direct statements. Sometimes it's in the way he listens, remembers, supports, or quietly shows up when you need him most. Emotional awareness transforms ordinary interactions into opportunities for understanding, connection, and genuine emotional closeness. When a man has strong feelings for someone but isn't ready to express them openly, his affection often shows up through quiet acts of protection and attention. These are not grand dramatic gestures, rather, they are subtle, consistent actions that reveal care and emotional investment. Many men are more comfortable showing love through what they do than through what they say. For them, ensuring your comfort, safety, and happiness becomes a natural instinct. When he starts to care deeply, he begins noticing little things others might overlook. How tired you sound, the way you cross your arms when you're cold, or the slight change in your tone when something is bothering you. These observations are not accidental, they come from emotional focus. He's tuned into you in a way that shows your well-being genuinely matters to him. Protective affection doesn't mean control, it means consideration. He might walk you to your car at night, make sure you got home safely, or subtly stand closer in a crowd. These gestures come from a place of wanting you to feel safe, not owned. A man who feels deeply but hides it will often protect you in ways that seem practical, yet they carry emotional weight. His actions are his way of saying, "I care about what happens to you," even if he's not ready to say it directly. You can sense the sincerity because it's consistent. He doesn't do these things to impress you. He does them because he can't help it. Attention is another form of hidden affection. He pays attention not because he's trying to be polite, but because he's emotionally invested. He remembers the things that matter to you. The song you mentioned once, the place you said you'd love to visit, or the way you like your tea. These small moments of remembrance show emotional presence. When a man cares, he listens differently. He absorbs details, not to store information, but to connect emotionally. It's his version of intimacy, built quietly through understanding who you are and what makes you feel valued. Even in conversation, his attention reveals emotion. He might ask how your day went and genuinely listen, not just out of politeness, but out of curiosity. He wants to know what makes you happy, what frustrates you, what dreams you're chasing. When you speak, he listens not to respond, but to understand. That's how you know he's emotionally present. His focus stays on you, not on himself. These protective and attentive behaviors may seem ordinary, but they are powerful indicators of deep feeling. When a man loves quietly, he doesn't always say it through words or overt gestures. Instead, he ensures your comfort, remembers your needs, and protects your peace in small, consistent ways. His affection lives in the details, the moments where he puts you first without making it obvious. In truth, his love isn't hidden. It's expressed through care that feels effortless, natural, and deeply genuine. Fear of rejection is one of the most powerful emotions that can shape how a man expresses love. Even the most confident, charming, or self-assured men can struggle with revealing how they truly feel when that vulnerability threatens their sense of control or emotional safety. Love, after all, requires openness. It asks a person to expose their softest parts. For many men, that exposure is terrifying. It's not just the fear of being turned down, it's the fear of being misunderstood, of caring more than the other person, or of losing respect after revealing something deeply personal. This fear often causes men to suppress or disguise their emotions, leading others to believe they are indifferent when, in reality, they are holding back something powerful. A man's hesitation to express his feelings doesn't necessarily mean he lacks them. More often, it means he feels them too deeply. When someone has strong emotions, but is unsure if they'll be reciprocated, the instinct is to protect themselves. Vulnerability feels like standing unguarded in a storm. There's a risk of rejection, of embarrassment, and emotional pain. So instead of saying, "I like you," he might joke about it. Instead of asking you out directly, he might find reasons to spend time with you. Instead of complimenting you openly, he might hide admiration behind playful teasing. Every subtle act becomes a shield, an attempt to express affection without fully exposing his heart. This emotional restraint can make him seem distant or inconsistent, but beneath that surface lies uncertainty, not apathy. Many men fear that if they confess their emotions and things don't go as hoped, the dynamic will change. They might lose the comfort of friendship, or worse, feel a blow to their self-esteem. For someone who values stability and control, love introduces unpredictability. It's a risk that not every man is immediately willing to take. Understanding this helps you see beyond silence or hesitation and recognize the internal battle he might be fighting between desire and fear. When a man hides his feelings due to fear of rejection, he often shows them in indirect ways. He might check in on you more often, offer help when you don't ask for it, or find excuses to be around you. His actions are attempts to stay close without making his emotions obvious. He wants connection, but he's waiting for signs that it's safe to move closer. In those moments, reassurance plays a powerful role. A simple act of kindness, genuine interest, or emotional warmth from you can help ease his fear. It signals that vulnerability won't be punished. It will be received with understanding. Recognizing the fear behind emotional restraint allows you to respond with empathy instead of frustration. It reminds you that silence doesn't always mean indifference, and that hesitation can come from caring too much, not too little. Sometimes love hides behind caution, waiting for a moment of safety to step forward. When that fear fades, the truth of his feelings often surfaces, deep, genuine, and worth the wait. Recognizing emotional depth without pressure is one of the most important aspects of building a healthy connection. When a man has strong feelings but hides them, it's easy to misinterpret his silence or restraint as disinterest. However, genuine emotion often takes time to unfold, and pushing someone to open up before they're ready can create distance instead of closeness. Emotional connection thrives when both people feel safe to express themselves at their own pace. Understanding his emotional rhythm means allowing him the space to feel, think, and express without demanding proof of affection. When you recognize his subtle signs of care and respond with patience, you create an atmosphere of trust where vulnerability becomes possible. Regardless of gender, has their own way of experiencing and processing emotion. Some communicate love easily, while others take longer to reveal what they feel. A man who hides his feelings may be internally battling fear, self-doubt, or a desire to maintain control over his emotions. In his world, showing deep affection too soon might feel risky or even unwise. But when you notice his quiet efforts, the way he listens, remembers small details, or finds excuses to be near, you begin to understand that these gestures are his emotional language. Recognizing that language means you don't need to pressure him for verbal confirmation. You already see it in how he behaves. When you allow someone the emotional space to come forward on their own, you're showing maturity and confidence. Love grows in environments where both people feel seen, not judged. When you don't rush him to confess or define the relationship before he's ready, you show that you value authenticity over validation. This patience doesn't mean tolerating emotional distance forever. It means giving connection the time it needs to mature naturally. Eventually, when he feels secure enough to be vulnerable, his emotions will surface more openly, and they'll be far more genuine than if they were forced. Recognizing emotional depth also means understanding that love isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and expressed through effort instead of declarations. A man might not tell you he's thinking about you, but he'll check if you got home safely. He might not say he misses you, but he'll find ways to stay in touch. These small, consistent gestures reveal sincerity that words alone can't. When you acknowledge and appreciate these actions, you make him feel emotionally safe. And that safety encourages more openness over time. The healthiest connections are those built on emotional understanding rather than emotional pressure. When you stop searching for constant validation, you begin to see the real signs of love, patience, respect, consistency, and care. Recognizing emotional depth without forcing it allows both people to stay authentic. It's in that balance of space and connection that true intimacy grows. When love is given the freedom to breathe, it doesn't fade. It deepens, transforming into something grounded, calm, and beautifully real. Love isn't always loud or obvious. It often lives in the quiet gestures, the subtle consistency, and the small moments of care that go unnoticed by most. When a man has strong feelings but hides them, his emotions don't disappear. They simply find quieter ways to speak. Through attention, protection, patience, and effort, he reveals what words cannot. Recognizing these hidden signs allows you to see love for what it truly is, something felt, not forced. The key is emotional awareness, the ability to understand his language without needing constant validation. When you meet his unspoken emotions with empathy instead of pressure, you create a space where he can be vulnerable, honest, and real. True connection doesn't need to be chased, it needs to be understood. And when you learn to see beyond what's said, you begin to feel the depth of what's truly there, a love that's quiet, genuine, and deeply human.